Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about The Toxic Avenger from 2025. It might feel weird to make sort of a bigger budget Toxic Avenger movie. Troma was always known for being low budget and grimy and kind of like, dirty and like not very expensive. I mean, Lloyd Kaufman's sort of his own Roger Corman, I guess. And I sort of get being uncomfortable with this sort of thing, but man, does this really get the tone of what Troma is and what makes Troma so cool and what makes Troma so gross. This almost feels like, it is a Toxic Avenger movie, but it feels so at home with that. There's kind of no questioning it. Now, it is sort of like aping a style and recapturing it rather than discovering it itself. And I do think there's other more authentic kind of cult films. I mean, The Toxic Avenger is very much, it was in every cult movie VHS section I went in as a kid. This is why I saw it for the most part. This feels like you look at someone like Psycho Goreman, who that film, which is a great movie, really was able to say something new with it and had a perspective with it. And although I think this is able to do something different with Toxic Avenger and be its own thing, it did feel like we're kind of treading water in a sense, which I don't know if I like as much as just like watching the original. But to be honest, I did have a lot of fun, and this really did understand. Macon Blair really understands what it means to be like, making a cult movie and stuff like that. The Toxic Avenger is about a single parent stepdad who's a janitor, played by Peter Dinklage. He finds out he has a pretty terrible medical diagnosis where he's gonna die, but then he tries to go to Kevin Bacon, who runs the company he works for, and tries to get a better health plan. He doesn't, so he tries to rob the place, but falls into toxic waste after this band of called the Nuts or something, who are his boss's brother's enforcers, played by Elijah Wood, throw him in toxic waste, make him into Toxie, or the Toxic Avenger, who gets incredibly violent and goes after them and tries to save the day and take down this evil corporation. That whole thing is very much like how Toxie has always been. And this was trying to be a different Toxic Avenger, Peter Dinklage's Toxic Avenger. Or really, let me say this, Or really, apparently, Peter Dinklage is just pre-Toxie, and Luisa Guerrero does all the physical performance, but Peter Dinklage does dubs it over. I don't know why he wasn't Toxie. I don't know what the deal is with that. He chose not to be. I don't get it. However, and it does very much try to make its own Toxic Avenger movie. This is, you could have him and the Toxie from the 80s meet up or something. It's like using the idea and doing something new in a sense. And they do. Like, this Toxie isn't just humiliated and turns to Toxie. This Toxie is financially humiliated. So I guess that's different. No, they are very different characters. And this does feel authentically Troma. And it does feel like, if you ever rewatch Toxic Avenger, I did get to rewatch the original. Sorry, I'm not doing a review of it. It's hard to do anything nowadays. So I'm just doing this one. But I do think it gets close to that. And I like how it does take on medical debt. And that's the reason I actually saw it in theaters. I mean, I was like, I'll probably see it eventually. But because it made a certain amount, I was going to give money to a charity who relieves medical debt, which was awesome. And these films always always had their heart in the right place. They're not gross. I mean, they're gross slasher grindhouse movies, but they're not morally that gross for the most part. And that's true of this. But it also had so many wacky characters. Elijah Wood, going full Schmeagle on this shit. I mean, he does look like Richard O'Brien and Rocky Horror and stuff, but gothed out or something. And he does have this crazy rock band called the Nuts, who are his enforcers. It has all sorts of stuff like that, where it does, I get a tinge of the 2000s cult, big studio cult movie thing, where part of their business plan was being a cult movie that got released on DVD, which felt that the whole era of that felt inauthentic. But I do think there were Piranha 3D, I think we still hear. But then, recently things like Hundreds of Beavers or People's Joker and stuff, those feel like authentic cult movies. This feels like one with a business plan, and the business plan is this will be a cult movie. But the direction, Macon Blair, who I didn't like his last movie really, although I love him in Blue Ruin and Green Room and stuff, but he really did a great job. I think he should just do stuff like this because he's very good at it. He understands what it is. He makes it its own weird thing. He's not trying to just recapture cult movies from the past, which him having Kevin Bacon as the bad guy. I did notice a lot of English actresses, particularly like Julia Davis, who I only know from like Gavin and Stacey was his wife, or Kevin Bacon's wife. Peter Dinklage, Jacob Tremblay. I also really like Taylor Page as sort of the eco person who's helping Toxie. I liked all the funny things like Toxie's pee could burn stuff. His mop was different. That was kind of interesting. They definitely gave it enough stuff where you didn't feel like the same Toxic Avenger. Again, a remake. They're really much like, this is the reboot Toxie. That was the old Toxie. And Macon Blair really got the trauma shit in this, which I was surprised by. I didn't expect as much from him as getting it. And I like the prosthetics of Toxie. I do like the nuts band and stuff like that. But it's also like, it felt like, sure, this is not a huge studio or something, but it's bigger than the original Toxic Avenger. This felt like people who were trying to make a cult movie, but it was people who love cult movies and love trauma trying to recreate that. And I think a lot of times when you have these directors try to recreate stuff, they're trying to be almost like, maybe this is definitely projection, like as good of a filmmaker as the original filmmaker is or something, or try to recapture that magic. And this is like sorta, but also wanting to do his own thing with it, which I definitely respect. Like, even if, I don't know, I did think of the Evil Dead 2013, where it's like, I don't love that movie, but I respect that it didn't try to make Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. And I like that this wasn't Lloyd Kaufman's thing. Like, even like the announcers, I noticed the background was the sort of trauma logo in the 80s and stuff like that. I don't know if there's a cameo of the guy who originally played Toxie and I missed that. Maybe that's who Lloyd Kaufman was yelling at. I don't know. It would have been nice if I saw some James Gunn love. He talks all the time on social media. I didn't hear any Toxic Avenger stuff or gave a cameo or something. But Macon Blair has a real love for this. And I think it's a love for like, oh God, this is gross. And this will open up a bunch of kids to all sorts of weirdness afterwards. And it felt like they knew it, but they're like, well, if we know it, let's have fun with it. Let's have a band called The Nuts. Like, let's have all these weird things. Let's have other mutants and stuff. Like, Peter Dinklage felt a little weird in this, but I thought it sort of worked. Just felt a tad off to me, but I thought it was okay. Jacob Tremblay looked like he was finally in a cool movie. You know, he's in good movies. He's been in cool movies, not until now, I guess. This is fun. I still think the original is better. But I thought this like got to why, almost like this is the kind of movie that makes you want to emulate cult movies. It like gives you that love throughout it. That love of trauma and cult stuff is in every frame. And it shows like, almost showing like there is a glory to that filmmaking. I don't think it's in awe of it or he's trying to get to it. It feels like a director who's just trying to like have fun with it and hope it passes along the way, which I think really worked for Macon Blair. And I like that Toxie's really different. And it makes sense that if, you know, in the 80s it was like, aha, this abstract thing, but now the bullies are just like corporations and medical insurance stuff, which Lloyd Kaufman, you know, he was in the Peace Corps for a lot of years. I don't know his politics, but it feels like the captain of Toxic Avenger was very liberal and stuff like that. And I think that continues that tradition. You know, it's funny and silly and like definitely having fun with itself. I don't know. I had a good enough time with this. It just felt like I returned to the August or like the slow moving months of the early 2010s where you get like kind of a weird cult movie. It was fun returning to that. I think of all the like, you know, cult movies that want to be cult movies ilk, this is definitely one of the better ones. But I don't think it's like usual cult movies are this unique weird thing. You're like, who did they think they were going to make money off of this or something? It feels like a weird accidental experiment. This, like, it feels like someone trying to screenwrite their way into making Toxic Avenger their own, but it worked. It was a good movie. If you're down for a Toxic Avenger type thing, this is the spirit of it. You know, it definitely recaptured it in a very authentic way. It felt like Toxic Avenger, and it felt like the kind of trauma movies, and it felt like made by people who like and love trauma. And that's what you want from Toxic Avenger. Toxic Avenger is, you know, if he's like the Spider-Man of trauma, how Spider-Man is with Marvel, and he's always going to be associated with the brand. And I think you couldn't make this movie fully and authentically without diving into the spirit of trauma and really understanding it. And it showed it throughout it. It was a fun, weird, gory-ass movie where somebody gets his intestines ripped out from his butthole. What else is there to see? You know, you want Toxie to punch someone and all their body to fall apart. That's what you want with Toxie. If you're here for that, then you're here for Toxie, and Toxie's going to come over and destroy corporate America, even if corporate America is trying to destroy him first. And they tried to unrelease this. Nothing can stop Toxie. He is an inevitability that will always come and be the cult movie. Maybe it's not the cult movie a lot of people want, but I think with Toxie, it's the cult movie we deserve. So if you have seen the Toxic Avenger and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.